from the Delaware Council on Gambling Problems. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you so much for checking in. We appreciate it. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's great being here. It's beautiful weather.
Yes,
heard
happy
it's going
New
to rain
Year.
a little bit
Yes, I
later, but it's
know.
nice. Good warm start to 2023.
Yes.
So-
No snow. You know, I like the 60s. It was 72 the other day in Salisbury. So
That makes
beautiful.
me happy.
I had a nice drive down. I drove down from Newark today. So,
Oh.
nice, warm, easy drive. No
Nice.
traffic, at least not yet.
Very good. Very
so-
good. Well, John, thank you so much for coming in. Delaware
Sure.
Council on Gambling Problems. Tell us a little bit about what you do. And I know you talked about going to the schools and talking to youth. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so first of all, our agency, the Delaware Council on Gambling Problems, has been around since 1986.
Okay.
And we've generally addressed people who develop gambling disorder.
Okay.
That's been our primary cause as an agency. We've really enhanced our services over the last maybe decade or so, really with treatment and prevention. So I'm the prevention services coordinator for youth for our agency. And what I do is I go into schools, middle schools and high schools throughout the state, and I talk to kids about making the connection between drug and alcohol addiction, substance abuse, and also behavioral addictions such as video games, gambling, and also even our cell phones. And the fact that it can have the same impact on those same reward centers of our brain that drug and alcohol addictions do.
Now, cell phones and kids, it's got to be tough.
It is.
It's got to be
So-
tough.
iPads.
Yeah,
and all
so
that
so
stuff.
one of the things that I deal with just kind of on the front line of being in the classrooms is kids in the classrooms with phones.
Right.
And as you can
And they
imagine,
allow
it's,
it.
it's much to the chagrin of the teachers normally who are present in the classrooms.
Right.
But the policies are difficult to enforce. There are some schools in our state who have just started utilizing what's called a yonder bag, which started initially with like concerts and different other
yes.
forms of entertainment where you would lock your phone away.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so basically it's like, kids, if you can't control your own phone use, we're going to take the phones from
Yeah.
you. And so I think we're going to start seeing that pattern more in our state. It's been going on in school districts around the country with great results. What we've noticed is when phones are in classrooms, test scores go down, grades go down, and negative behavioral outcomes go up. So we're seeing a lot of the gambling principles that are applied from casinos into our, into video games, things like arcades that our kids go to, claw games, coin games. We're starting to also see this in our social media video feeds.
Right.
It's what are called intermittent reinforcement principles. It makes it really difficult to get off our phone. Not just kids, us too. Adults
Oh, I
too.
know.
We're the biggest culprits, right?
Well,
Like,
well, see, I
we're
mean,
on 'em.
especially like, in this business, like I'm like constant glued to the phone.
Right.
It's all about social media and, going
And we've
live.
developed. I mean, listen. Let's just be honest. We've developed a dependence on it. I always talk.
Yeah.
I always talk to people about. Listen, my whole life runs through my phone.
Yes.
My
Yep.
personal life, my social life, my
Your
financial
email,
life,
everything.
email,
Yeah.
everything, work life. So it all runs through our phone. But at the same time, it's all by design, and it's to just continuously keep us engaged. On apps, giving them information, giving them content, and that's how they maximize profits, right?
You know
So-
what I noticed right away? Jessica and I both have our phones like sitting right in front of us on the table, and you don't.
I don't. My phone. It's not. I don't think that was on purpose. I did it by accident. It's a one-off.
Did you leave it in the car?
No,
Is
it's in my pocket.
Okay,
It's
okay,
burning a
okay.
hole in my pocket. No, I'm just kidding.
You're like, oh, I gotta check
But-
Facebook.
yeah,
Like, oh man,
but-
oh man.
But yeah, so I talk to a lot of kids in the classroom just about really how gambling mechanics show up in our lives, and like we do this bit with the claw game. I know you guys have seen claw machines. They're
Yeah.
everywhere,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And it's not like our Pop-Pop's claw machine with like just little stuffed animals and little plastic pieces of jewelry. We're talking about
No,
serious
nice
technology
stuff.
in this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Xboxes,
yeah.
PlayStations, Beats headphones, Gucci handbags.
Yep.
And kids love this stuff, right? And so I feel like it's very predatory. Like, hey, let's play these games, and if I don't win, I'm going to continue to play. And it's the same exact pattern as being in front of a slot machine, right? You don't win. It's that almost win. The claw almost picks it up, and you're like, oh, I almost got it. Let me put more money in the machine. And so we talk a little bit about that and just understanding these forces, these psychological forces that are around us. I'm not here to tell you, hey, don't play the claw game. Hey, don't gamble. Don't play video games. I'm just providing you the information. I want you to arrive at that conclusion.
Okay.
Right? So that's really what it's all about. I want to empower and inform kids and adults across the state about some of the dangers that the gambling mechanics pose in our lives psychologically, how they can kind of take away time and in a lot of cases money as well.
So you go around and you speak to students in the schools? and
Yeah,
all?
I mostly work through health programs.
Okay.
So the health classes in all the schools and in all three counties: Sussex County, Kent County, Newcastle County, of course. And so it's just something that I love to do. I had my own personal struggles as a kid with gambling addiction, so this is like really hits close to home for me. So being in the classroom, being able to talk to kids about understanding the risks, understanding the signs, understanding the dangers of developing some of these specific sort of behaviors and addictions, can be really problematic. And if somebody maybe at my age, when I was younger, maybe came in and talked to me a little bit more about that, I don't know. Would it something have changed? Not sure.
Right.
I was a knucklehead like most of us were growing up.
Right,
It's
right.
like one in one ear and out the other. But I feel like all of our lives are composed of messages we've had throughout the years, and not one person said anything that changed our lives, but everybody's kind of chipped in with messages that have kind of formed who we are,
right?
And our belief systems and our behaviors and things like that.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Now, do you primarily work with youth, or you?
I do. So I work with youth, but I also work in the criminal justice system. We have a really good treatment program.
Okay.
So we have providers throughout all 3 of our counties, and if anyone has a gambling addiction, or if a parent wants to call us because their kid has a gaming or gambling addiction or some other digital disorder, they can call us, and we offer up to 20 free treatment programs,
Wow.
whether you have insurance or you don't. And we just have really good, highly qualified, highly trained treatment providers in our state. Some of them are even are versed in clinical gaming disorder as well. So, and gaming is definitely something that's really emerged in the last 4 or 5 years that's gotten much more problematic, mostly because of some of the dangers that online gaming poses. Not just like the fact that we can talk to people, we
Right.
can get doxxed, things like that. But I'm talking about like a lot of the gambling mechanics. Games have what are called loot boxes.
Okay.
And loot boxes are basically, I call them like digital scratch-offs. So you come across loot boxes and you can open them sometimes for sums of money, and you don't know what you're going to get. It's the same concept. You scratch off a ticket, and you don't know if you're going to win, but you've just paid money, and you're most likely going to play more because you want to win.
Now,
it's the same concept.
I had asked you before, about, we were laughing about cell phones and kids and all
Right.
that. You take a cell phone away from a kid, it's like, you don't have to, spank them anymore. You take a cell phone away, it's like torture, for a lot of these kids. But, their whole lives are on this phone, and that's the society that we live in 2023 now. What would you say to, a parent who's like, look, I don't like when my kid doesn't have their phone. I need them to have their phone so I can constantly become in touch with them. And
that's the argument in schools.
Yeah.
When kids and parents, so Colonial School District was the school that decided to implement the use of the Yonder bags. And I had a chance to check out some of the thread.
Yeah.
Right, to see the comments. Some of them were like, parents were like, hallelujah, praise Jesus, and then some of them were like, oh my God, I
No
got to talk
way,
to my
right.
kids. And
Yeah.
so,
Is it almost like 50-50?
yeah, it's a lot of pushback, but what we're realizing is like once you kind of pull the Band-Aid off really quick and do this, things start leveling out emotionally. Right. Kids start becoming more focused in schools. Parents start realizing, you know what? It's not that big of a deal to have my phone on standby every second
Right.
to be in contact with my child. I mean, when we grew up in an era where
I know.
We didn't talk to our parents at all until we got off the school bus, or
And then when we
school.
did, we were outside until dark.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, we do understand. We acknowledge it's a different era, and we're going to behave differently as a result of how we've been conditioned digitally, right? But at the same time, we do still have to be careful. What are the danger signs? What are the risks of being on our phones too much, of gaming too much, in terms of our kids staying in their bedrooms too often? Are they developing depression? Are they developing anxiety?
Right.
Are they having different patterns of the way they're spending money?
Are you seeing like a lot of, I guess, more and more nowadays after COVID, as far as like kids, being inside, being in the room, being on their game? I mean, it's got to be, you're like, wow, this is
So I
something.
we use a digital software company to do all our survey, to get all our survey data. And so prior to COVID, 29% of Delaware high school students were gaming for over 4 hours a day. 29%. So that's over a quarter.
29%.
During COVID, it went to 42%. So
Oh.
we're talking nearly half of high school kids are gaming 4 hours a day. We're not talking about Zoom. We're not talking about social media scrolling. We're not talking about
You're just talking about gaming.
Schoology
Just on the
homework.
game.
We're talking about just gaming. So
Okay.
imagine how much more time is comprised of being on our phones,
Yeah.
texting, social media, everything else that's involved in our digital lives. And I feel like we're always on, right? I kind of do a little
you're always
mindfulness-
on something.
Do a little
Yeah.
mindfulness exercise in the classrooms to sort of explain to kids, we're just stressed out by our digital technology.
Yeah.
It's not no longer a coping technique to be on it to deal with stress. It is the source
It
of our
is
stress.
the
Yes, yes.
Right? And so, whether it's our Chromebook, our iPad, our Xbox, our PlayStation, our phones, whatever, we're always on something. And it's kind of like burning out these dopamine receptors. right? Making us much more, I guess just immune to the reality that when we're on these, we're looking for sensations, we're looking for pleasure.
Yeah.
But we don't even think about it anymore because it's so just everyday common behavior to just be on it all the time.
So many parents love you right now. They're like, man, please come to our house.
Yeah, so I mean, and I do like parents' nights in schools, and I do other events as well because I do feel like as much as I love talking to kids, parents really
need it too.
Parents really need to be educated because so many parents are like, I had no idea that my kid had access to my embedded credit card information when they were playing video games and spent $300 without me knowing before I got the credit card bill. So there's so many things that go on that parents just aren't aware of. So there's a website called parentaltools.org.
Okay.
And a parent, in terms of their child's gaming behavior, they can set so if they go on parentaltools.org, they can set the controls on who they play with, what age-appropriate games they play, how long they play, and if they're making any financial transactions, they'll be notified.
Oh, okay.
So those things that some parents just don't have any idea. I have some parents who are very, very involved in terms of making sure, like digital responsibility. Like they'll check their kid's phone every day, make sure how long they're on it. It's got to be off by 9 o'clock. It's not going upstairs.
Right.
It's going to be downstairs. So there's certain boundaries that are still in place, but I feel like parents are losing.
All right, well, let me ask you this. This is going to probably piss off a lot of parents. At what age do you think that a child should receive their first cell phone? Oh, this is from the expert.
21. No.
Yes. From the Delaware Council on Gambling Problems.
So
this is the expert, Mr. John Schmidt.
I feel like it's got to be high school.
Really?
It's got to
that
be 14.
old?
Yeah. Now here's the thing: if you want to give your kid a phone, it's got to be stripped down.
Okay.
If you want to set it to where you text your kids text you. If that's the concern, then great. Give it to them when they're 10, and that's it. Like limit everything, restrict everything.
Okay.
Once you start the online access, now we're talking about apps, we're talking about social media, we're talking about problems, we're talking about emotional development issues, we're talking about getting into sexual situations that you may not that aren't age appropriate. So there's a lot. I mean, I deal with a lot of good conversations in health classrooms, and kids are talking about things like sending pictures to their boyfriends and getting pressure. It's just, there's so many layers to it. It's not just about playing video games. It's not just about, saying, hey, what's going on in this area or what are you wearing today on social media? There's so many more levels to it. And parents I feel like parents know, but it just takes a lot of emotional energy to be vested in your child's digital life. There's so much else to worry about.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I got to worry about my kids being on, Snapchat and Instagram, and I got to worry about who they're talking to. And it's like, yeah, you do, because things can become problematic. And I feel like there was a study that came out just a few years ago where high school kids, so we're talking about kids age 14 to 17, where depression rates have gone up 60% between 2008 and 2017. So let's think, what's correlated with that 9-year span? The advent of social media, the evolution of social media, the evolution of our phones, going from just having the Nokia with Snake on it back in the early 2000s, right? To now we have complete internet access. We have a computer and a slot machine in our pocket all at once.
Yeah.
Right? Where we're just getting all of these needs met. And one of the things that I love to talk about with kids and with parents, there's 3 things emotionally that we really need: attention, affection, and validation. We need those 3 things. The problem is we're getting them all in spades from our phone, and not from each other.
You're right.
Right? And so I feel, and there's not really any data yet, but I'm just kind of going off the pulse of having conversations with kids, seeing some of the data, kind of my own experiences. I feel like the reason why these depression and anxiety rates are going up, despite there being more resources for depression and anxiety, is because these phones are growing kids up faster than they are growing up neurologically.
Well, look, so many times I've heard from adults, not kids, because they hate to have their stuff, all for taken away. But from adults, like, oh, I got rid of my Facebook, or I came off of social media for a certain amount of time. Best week of my life, And what's so
the digital
crazy?
Detox.
Yes, and doing what we do, being on, with our job and stuff, being on social media, being online all the time. When you actually turn it off and you go out in the real world, it's like 2 different worlds.
Well, here's the thing.
Like you think that's real world, but when you actually turn it off and go outside, it's like a whole nother, you got keyboard warriors, you got a whole nother community online than you actually do in person.
You do.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the more connected we are digitally, the more disconnected we are as humans.
Yeah.
Right. Just
Yeah.
in terms of the physical world. I hear people say the real world.
Right,
But you have to
right.
realize in so many people's lives that is the
That
real
is
world.
the real
Yeah.
world. For
You know, so I
them.
call it the physical world just to respect everyone's world, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, the real world. Let's be
Wow.
honest, it's the real world.
Very good. Well, Mr. John Smith, again, Delaware Council on Gambling Problems. If people want more information.
Yeah, I have a couple quick websites I also
sure,
want to kick
absolutely.
out. So our youth website, we have a brand new youth website that we just got started. It's got so many resources on it.
Okay.
And it's called dangerouslevels.org. So if a parent wants to go on and learn a little bit more about their child's gaming behavior, phones, gambling, whatever, dangerouslevels.org is a really good start to understand the gambling gaming connection. Gamequitters.com. If a kid wants to learn how to quit or cut back or understand what motivates them to game, are they a competitor? Are they an achiever? Are they an escaper? Are they a socializer? You know, you can kind of learn a little bit more about what drives you. Gamequitters.com is another one, and of course, our own gambling website. In terms of people who develop a gambling disorder, may want help, want questions asked, is deproblemgambling.org.
Okay.
Is the Delaware Council on Gambling Problems home website, deproblemgambling.org.
So if anybody needs information on how to, have someone to talk to, have their
Right.
kids to talk to, they can do that. Go there.
We have tremendous resources up and down the state, and our helpline is 888-850-8888. So, it's a phone. Get on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And call us. Go online and call us. Use this digital technology that we're
Or follow us on social media.
maligning right now. Use it to get a hold of us. Look,
No.
Yeah.
I have texts
It's
coming
gotta be
through.
about a
This
balance.
guy's good.
Yes.
It's gotta be a balance at the end of the day. That's what I tell kids and adults. It's all about balance, and things digitally can just get so out of whack.
Do you have kids yourself?
I do. I have a 2-year-old right now.
Okay.
And I'm
Oh,
very
wow,
mindful. Very
yes.
mindful of
Do
his.
they have a
digital
cell?
activity.
Does he have a cell phone yet?
No, he hasn't. But he has Coco Melon and Miss
Coco
Rachel.
Melon and
That's
Miss
his thing.
Rachel.
Yeah. So
You know what's crazy? I don't know who that is. Jessica. does.
Yes.
yeah,
No, thank you so much for coming in.
yeah, absolutely. I appreciate
Thank
it, guys.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's 9:21.
Wake up every Thursday morning starting at 6